Do you think about the way young up-and-coming comics have to make it today via social media, constantly posting? Do you have any views on the way they have to make a name for themselves? And the add-on to that question is, how do you think a young up-and-coming Joe Avati would have done in that environment? Do you think this would be where you thrive?
Okay, interesting question. So there's different levels of answers to that. So firstly, let's break it up. So the first part of the question was, how do the kids break out in? Is that?
Yeah. So let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Let's say 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you would go work out at the club.
Yeah.
The booker would put you on, and so on.
Yeah.
Now it's really about making it big straight away from Instagram,
Right.
YouTube, whatever.
That's right. And so there's a couple of things that come out of that. Number one, when I first started, what springboarded me around the world, right, that launched me was Napster. So Napster was just only audio. It wasn't visual. So I'd turn up to Canada and people go, I thought you were 50 years old. I was 27. So the springboard that kids have today, which is going to launch them, is so I would jump on this. My springboard was Napster, and it doesn't matter how much I jump, it would get me this high. Now, I've got one leg on Instagram, one on Facebook, one on YouTube, and collectively the jump that I get is so much more. So if you're good and you produce some good quality stuff online, it is going to get seen a lot quicker. And the whole premise, what makes you famous, or in terms of a brand name, is to make as much noise in the shortest period of time, and that equals longevity in terms of. So you know how you got one-hit wonders, bands and so on. You still remember them. Feegle Sharky, a good heart is a hard to find. Please be gentle with this heart of mine. One song this guy had, we still remember it today. Why? Because there was so much noise around that one song back in the 80s. It's 2024, we still remember the guy. And that's what makes fame. And that's what these kids have. The downside of it is that you don't have the practice in the clubs, right? And so, you can be funny in an edited video for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever, or 30 seconds. But that does not mean you can then bring that onto a stage. And I've seen very successful internet comedians, call them that, who manage to put it on stage, but geez, they're not good. They're not good. They manage to pull it off, but it's amateur hour.
Right.
It's a high school play on steroids.
Right.
And the other thing, stand-up comedians have, that we kind of have a beef, and I suppose you'll appreciate this. There's people who do sketch comedy, or get dressed up, or they'll do a video, I don't know, talking to the camera. You're not a comedian, mate, unless you can stand in your own clothes in front of an audience, and the only thing in between you and them is a microphone for an hour and constantly make people laugh. Don't call yourself a comedian. You're a character actor. You say, I put on your little, I'm a character actor, not a comedian.
It's actually one of my pet peeves. And I'm glad you said that, because sometimes I feel very petty about it.
No.
When you have some 17-year-old kid doing 10-second videos, never gotten on stage once in their life, they've got comedian in their bio.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the other downsides, that anyone's a comedian now.
Everyone's a comedian. And there's so many comedians now. Really? If you really want to call yourself a comedian, get out there in your own clothes, make people laugh for an hour and a half. Next Tuesday on a Saturday at 7:30.
Even just 5 minutes.
Yeah,
do 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
I think it's tough because you spoke about the springboard. I like that analogy. One of the other major differences, though, is I do think it's so much more saturated now.
Yes.
I don't think that. It is just so much more saturated.
It is.
You're competing with millions of other people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you look at a lot of the sort of online comedians doing these 10, 15-second videos, a lot of it is unoriginal. They're stealing material.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So when you grow up in the clubs and you take someone else's material, there'll be somebody to go, hey, buddy, mate, that's not on, right? And if it's not, you won't get work. A lot of these comedians, they beg, borrow, and steal other people's acts, make them into a video. I've had it done myself. Some of my stand-up I see in videos.
Really?
And I go, and people, because they don't know that, have never seen me, they think that that's the original.
They've come up with it.
It ain't the original.